Hello aspirants, AIPMT 2 has been recently conducted, and those who have given, for them this is the discussion. Those who haven't given this test, we are attaching our question paper as well as the explanation PDF of this particular test in the description of this video. ठीक है, तो प्रीलिम्स नज़दीक जैसे जैसे आ रहा है तो आपको भी मॉक टेस्ट देने का इम्पोर्टेंस समझ में आ रहा होगा, एंड मेनी ऑफ यू हैव ऑलरेडी स्टार्टेड गिविंग दिस टेस्ट. तो हमने जैसे AIPMT 1 में बात की थी, तो वी आर गोइंग टू कवर डिफरेंट एस्पेक्ट ऑफ डिफरेंट सिलेबस टॉपिक्स एंड सब्जेक्ट्स in these AIPMTs, and it is free of cost. You can give these AIPMTs by registering on our website. ठीक है, इसके साथ में ही जनवरी में हम PGP कोर्स स्टार्ट कर रहे हैं, प्रीलिम्स गाइडेंस प्रोग्राम. तो प्रीलिम्स गाइडेंस प्रोग्राम क्या होता है? ठीक है, तो उसमें हम क्लासेस और टेस्ट सीरीज को इंटीग्रेट करके पढ़ाते हैं. उसके साथ साथ में हम आपको मेंटरशिप सपोर्ट दे रहे हैं, और करंट अफेयर्स और CSAT के भी क्लासेस और टेस्ट होंगे. ठीक है, तो एक होलिस्टिक प्रिपरेशन आपके प्रीलिम्स का होगा, जिसमें आपका PYQ एड्रेस होंगे, उसके साथ में आपका करंट अफेयर्स का प्रिपरेशन हो रहा है, क्वालिटी स्टडी मटेरियल भी मिलेगा, जिसमें लास्ट मिनट रिवीजन नोट्स की बात हम करते हैं, तो वो होगा. ज्योग्राफी में मैपिंग के क्लासेस होंगे. तो पर्टिकुलर सब्जेक्ट में क्या फोकस किया जाता है, तो हमारे यहाँ पर सारे फैकल्टीज़, एक्सपर्ट फैकल्टीज़ वो चीज़ जानते हैं, और वो क्लासेस में उसमें एम्फेसिस होगा, और उसी वीकेंड में आपका सेक्शनल टेस्ट भी होगा, एंड इन द एंड वी विल सॉल्व सम प्रैक्टिस मॉक टेस्ट. इसी हिसाब से आपका अच्छा प्रिपरेशन हो जाएगा, एंड वी विल ट्राई टू हेल्प यू इन क्लियरिंग दिस प्रीलिम्स 2026. ठीक है, तो लेट्स स्टार्ट विद द डिस्कशन. ज्योग्राफी पार्ट I will discuss geography and environment part, and other faculties will discuss the remaining topics. Okay, so first question, it is describing the particular type of volcano. So these volcanoes are characteristic by the eruption of cooler and more viscous lavas than basalt. So cooler and more viscous, so that will result into explosive eruptions. So यहाँ पे लिखा हुआ है explosive eruptions. Along with the lava, large quantities of pyroclastic material. तो ये NCERT में आप पढ़ते हैं, right? You may have read. So it is basically the composite volcano. For example, the Mount Fuji in Japan. ठीक है, तो वो क्या है? Composite volcano है example. So यहाँ पर क्या होता है? दो चीज़ याद रखना है. Cooler and more viscous lava होता है, तो magma होता है, तो that gets basically solidified near the mouth or vent of that volcano, and वहाँ पर वो sudden explode होने की वजह से क्या होता है? Explosive volcanism और eruption होता है. एंड वो सारा मटेरियल जो है एक्यूमुलेट इन द विसिनिटी ऑफ वेंट, क्योंकि वो क्या है? कूलर है, और इमीडिएटली विस्कस है, तो इमीडिएटली वो कंसोलिडेट हो जाता है. तो ऐसे लेयर्स, दैट्स व्हाई इट लुक्स लाइक कंपोजिट वोल्केनो. सो डी इज द आंसर फॉर दिस. नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन, हाउ मेनी ऑफ द अबव फेनोमेनन आर ऑब्जर्व एट द मिड ओशनिक रिज रीजन. तो मिड ओशनिक रिज रीजन में हम देखते हैं कि क्या डीप फोकस अर्थक्वेक होता है वहाँ पे? नहीं, वहाँ पर होता है शैलो फोकस अर्थक्वेक. राइट, सो मिड ओशनिक रिज के यहाँ पर क्या होता है? डाइवर्जेंट प्लेट बाउंड्री. तो डाइवर्जेंट प्लेट बाउंड्री के यहाँ पर क्या होगा? देयर इज साइलेंट इरप्शन हैपनिंग, द मैग्मा इज राइजिंग अप, एंड लेट्स से द शैलो फोकस मतलब क्या है कि फोकस ऑफ द अर्थक्वेक इज नॉट मच डीपर. वेयर वी हैव सच डीप फोकस अर्थक्वेक, वेयर द सबडक्शन जोन इज देयर, द प्लेट आर कॉन्वर्जिंग. ठीक है, तो ट्रेंच एरिया में. सो दिस इज इनकरेक्ट. देन फॉर्मेशन ऑफ न्यू क्रस्ट, दिस इज ट्रू. So the mid oceanic ridge region is, we can say, the sites for formation of new magma or new crust, that is oceanic crust. And older oceanic crust कहाँ पर consume हो रहा है? It is consumed in the trench region. Then formation of islands. Now this must have let's say confused you. आपको लग रहा होगा कि ocean convergence में ही islands बनते हैं. So it's not necessary, right? Whenever the let's say the new crust that is being formed through volcanic eruption is rising above the sea level, so there can be formation of we can say that the islands. ठीक है, तो for example Iceland, mid Atlantic ridge जिसको हम बोलते हैं कि वहाँ पर Iceland बना हुआ है, इतना बड़ा आइलैंड है. Then Azores Island, again same Atlantic Ocean, Azores Island. Okay, examples. So 2 and 3 दो है इसमें, only 2 is the correct answer. B is the correct answer. Now next question, which one of the following features is formed due to tectonic forces? Okay, let's see the tectonic forces. Hanging valley. So hanging valley is basically unique feature of let's say the fluvial topography, we can say that, or even the glacial topography. तो वैली इन वैली कॉन्सेप्ट फ्लूवियल में होता है जहाँ पर पॉलीसाइक्लिक लैंडफॉर्म्स होते हैं, हैंगिंग वैली। यू शेप वैली हम देखते हैं कि ग्लेशियल लैंडफॉर्म्स होते हैं, ग्लेशियल इरोजन लैंडफॉर्म। ब्लाइंड वैली वी कैन से दैट कास्ट टोपोग्राफी में होता है, limestone region, karst topography. So they are erosion related and deposition related, but rift valley is, we can say that, like East African rift. So they are formed due to tectonic forces, right? So D is the correct answer, rift valley. Then we can say match the following local winds and origin. Zonda is warm, dry or hot, dry winds crossing the Andes and entering into Argentina. ठीक है, एंड अर्जेंटीना, एल्प्स नहीं है, तो दिस इज इनकरेक्टली मैच. चिनुक, रॉकीज, दैट इज करेक्ट. वी कैन से वार्म विंड्स, दे आर कॉल्ड एज स्नो ईटर्स, क्रॉसिंग फ्रॉम वेस्ट टू ईस्ट अक्रॉस द रॉकीज. देन बोरा, कोल्ड विंड्स, yes, they are in Adriatic Sea, we can say that Mediterranean region, Bora, and Mistral from the western side of Alps, we can say not Andes, Alps. तो 2 और 3 सही है, 1 और 4 गलत है. Only 2 are correctly matched here. B is the correct answer. All right. Next question. Which of the following statement best describes the doldrums? So doldrums are basically the belt of calm, or we can say the area 5 degree north, 5 degree south of equator, जहाँ पर हम देखते हैं कि trade winds are coming and merging, but in that region they are uplifted because of very hot ground surface. So that's why there is no fast wind movement in that particular region. Belt of calm region in equator where prevailing trade winds meet. So B is the correct answer. ठीक है? Okay. Then statement 1, statement 2. Thickness of troposphere is greater at the equator as compared to the poles. Similar kind of PYQ is there. Right, this is correct. At equator there is around 17 or 18 kilometer of thickness of troposphere. Near poles it is around 13 kilometer. Now, what is the reason? Gravitational force is more at poles as compared to equator. This statement itself is true, but it is not the reason, right? The reason is at equator there is more insolation from the sun, and because of that there is more convection, and because of that convection the wind is rising, air is rising at higher altitudes. That's why thickness of troposphere is more near the equator. This is not the reason. So individually those statements are correct, but it is not explaining statement 1. That's why B is the correct answer. Next. Yes, it requires moderate temperature and rainfall during the growing season and bright sunshine at the time of harvest. This statement itself should explain that the moderate temperatures, okay, it thrives best in well drained loamy soils. It is extensively grown in the areas of temperate grasslands. जब यहाँ पे बोल रहे temperate grassland, तो tropical crops like rice and cotton are eliminated. Confusion maize और wheat में रहा होगा. तो wheat is specifically requiring bright sunshine, frost free days at the harvest. ठीक है, ये wheat का हम बोल सकते हैं criteria है, तो that's why D is the correct answer. Basic NCERT knowledge. Then moving on. Next, sugar mills are generally located within, ठीक है, within radius of 100 km of sugarcane growing areas. Sugarcane starts to lose, this is correct actually statement, and sugarcane starts to lose sucrose rapidly after cutting. That is true, and also supporting this reason, we can say statement sugarcane is weight gaining raw material. This is incorrect, right? It is weight losing. Sugarcane to sugar, sugar is basically less weight, only 10% of sugarcane is converted into sugar in terms of weight. So we can say weight losing. So this is incorrect, only one of the statement is correct, and that is explaining the statement 1. So we can say C is the correct answer. C is the correct answer. Moving on, match the following. Rivers and industrial centers are asked here. Pairs. Jamshedpur is located on the bank of Suvarnareka river and Kharkai river. Their confluence is happening there. Incorrectly matched. Ahmedabad is located on Sabarmati river, that is correct. Bhilai on Shivnath river, it may be confusing, but it is incorrect. Bhilai river nahi hai. Durg is located on the Shivnath river, which is tributary of we can say Mahanadi river, right? So भिलाई जो है वो इंडस्ट्रियल कॉम्प्लेक्स थोड़ा सा दूर है वहाँ से, दुर्ग सिटी से. Bokaro is located on the Damodar river, so incorrectly matched. Only one pair is correctly matched here, right? So pardon me, यहाँ पर पूछा गया है कि incorrectly matched कितने हैं? 3 है. C is the correct answer. All right, then 55. Consider the following rivers and how many of the above rivers drain into Indian Ocean. Okay, Indian Ocean में कितने drain करता है? So Orange River basically drains or moves in this direction. If you see the Africa like this, so it moves in this direction, drains into Atlantic. Niger River, it drains into Atlantic. Then Congo River, it drains into Atlantic. Limpopo River जो है यहाँ से इस तरीके से Indian Ocean में आ रहा है, तो Indian Ocean पूछ रहा है, तो A is the correct answer. All right, A is the correct answer. So major rivers of Africa. Which of the following country has more lakes than all other countries in the world combined? Now this is unique or trivial facts of geography. Such kind of questions are asked, जैसे कि longest border between which two countries, जैसे US Canada का उन्होंने पूछा था, ठीक है? तो such trivial facts are being asked. Equator passes through which countries, which water bodies, ऐसे question आ रहे हैं. So yes, this is unique fact. Canada is considered as land of lakes. यहाँ पे more than 30,000 lakes है वहाँ पर, बहुत ज़्यादा lakes है बोल सकते हैं हम. B is the correct answer here. Now this is also unique. Yes, Mount Everest is the highest mountain above the sea level, but which of the following mountain is technically closest to the space? That means basically the earth is bulged near the equator and flattened near the poles. So technically the mountain which is near the equator, especially this one, Mount Chimborazo, so at Ecuador, so it is very near to the equator as compared to Mount Kilimanjaro. So A is the correct answer. Okay, A is the correct answer. Now the benthic life in Black Sea is almost absent. That is true. We can say that the Black Sea is having the marine life only at surface level. There are two reasons. One is the lower layers of Black Sea are contaminated by the hydrogen sulfide. So that leads to dead zone. ठीक है, वहाँ पर dead zone create हुआ है, and vertical intermixing of water is limited in Black Sea. So because of that hydrogen sulfide, there is less oxygen in the water, dissolved oxygen जिसको हम बोलते हैं, and because of that there is no marine life. And vertical mixing is limited. That's why the oxygenated water is not moving to let's say bottom layers. Both are correct and both are supporting it, so A is the correct answer. Okay, A is the correct answer here. Then it is primarily a kharif crop. Groundnut we are talking about, groundnut. Kharif crop है India में, this is correct. And it is second largest. India is the second largest after China. This is correct, we can say that. And Gujarat is the leading state of production, followed by Rajasthan and Madhya Pradesh. Around 48% in Gujarat only. ठीक है, तो मेजर स्टेट हम बोल सकते हैं. ऑल थ्री आर करेक्ट हियर. डी इज द करेक्ट आंसर. एवरी ईयर देयर विल बी वन क्वेश्चन ऑन क्रॉप्स एंड इट्स प्रोडक्शन एंड ऑल दिस थिंग्स. सो Durand line was in news. It forms the boundary between which of the following countries? So conflict between Afghanistan and Pakistan going on continuously. Durand line news में रहता है. So C is the correct answer, right? All right, let's discuss now the environment questions one by one. Okay, so first question, it talks about the modifications commonly found in aquatic plants to adapt to the waterlogged conditions. Thin and flexible leaves. Now you may think like कि thin leaves किस लिए होता है? So those submerged plants, they have the thin plants or flexible leaves so as to maximize the exchange, gas exchange with the water and air, we can say that. So this is correct. Large and flat leaves, especially floating. If you see the lotus, ठीक है, तो lotus flat and large हम बोल सकते हैं कि leaves होते हैं. Leaves with air cavities also, especially for other let's say plants which require buoyancy effect, तो वहाँ पर हम leaves with air cavities भी होता है, इसको arenchyma बोलते हैं. All three are adapted features, we can say that. D is the correct answer. Again basic NCERT. Then the purple frog found in Western Ghats spends most of the time underground and comes out only during monsoon for breeding. one can use the logic. Most of the frogs, or we can say that amphibians, they come out during the monsoon time period. Most of the time they are remaining as, let's say, buried animals. Then it is classified as critically endangered under IUCN. Now this is incorrect. It is endangered species, not critically endangered. So one only is the correct answer. Species based question. Then next. Globally, India has the largest mangrove cover area wise, followed by Brazil. Now you may get confused. This let's say fact is incorrect. You should know that globally Indonesia is having largest mangrove cover, okay, followed by Brazil. So largest contiguous mangrove forest is Sundarbans, but area wise the large amount of area is in Indonesia, hundreds and thousands of islands and the mangroves. In India, West Bengal has the largest mangrove cover, followed by Gujarat. This is correct. So 2 only is the correct answer here. B is the correct answer. Then next is, yes, the harmful effects of pollutant on human health. NOx, nitrogen dioxide primarily affect respiratory system. This is correct. Long term exposure, sulfur dioxide, chronic lung disease, correct. Carbon monoxide binds with hemoglobin. This is also correct, we can say. Lead in the air mainly affect digestive system. No, lead is basically affecting primarily neurological systems. Okay, neurological systems, brain, especially among the children. So 1, 2, 3 only, that is A is the correct answer. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Then next. Yes, Environment Protection Act 1986. The act was enacted to implement the provisions of Rio Declaration on Environment. One can use the logic. Rio Declaration was in 1992. तो act तो उससे पहले ही आया हुआ है. Basically Stockholm Convention जो था 1972. So to implement that provisions and outcome, so it was enacted. This is incorrect. The act empowers the state government to set environmental standards. The act primarily empowers the central government, not state government, to frame the standards. So both statements are incorrect. क्योंकि यहाँ पर incorrect पूछा हुआ है, तो C is the answer. Okay, fine. Moving on. As per the E-Waste Management Rules 2016, which one of the following statement is correct? Every producer is required to establish collection center for E-Waste, ensure its proper recycling. पहला ही स्टेटमेंट सही है, बाकी पढ़ने की ज़रूरत ही नहीं है. ठीक है, तो बाकी स्टेटमेंट में गलत दिया हुआ है चीज़ें, अर्बन में लागू होगा, रूरल में नहीं होगा, ऐसे नहीं है. All right, with reference to organization, Worldwide Fund for Nature, global organization focused on nature conservation, reducing human impact on environment. This is correct. Played a key role in popularizing concept of biodiversity hotspot. No, biodiversity hotspot, Norman Myers और Conservation International उन्होंने किया हुआ है, rather than this one, WWF. Incorrect. It identifies and promotes protection of key biodiversity areas world. Key biodiversity areas IUCN का concept है, not Worldwide Fund. So only one is correct. We can say A is the correct answer. A is the correct answer. Next, with reference to organization, traffic. Traffic is a global network that monitor trade in wild animals and plants and jointly run by Worldwide Fund and IUCN. This is correct, we can say. It has the authority to enforce international wildlife trade laws, member countries. Incorrect. Enforce करने का नहीं है, ये NGOs type करते हैं, non-profit organization. So one only is the correct answer. Okay. Then next. All right, so these are the substances and sources. Largely we can say that pollutants, polychlorinated biphenyls, PCBs, yes, they are released from the capacitors and transformers, electronic goods. Hexavalent chromium, leather tanning, stainless steel industry, that is also correctly matched. Beryllium, electronic and aerospace components, that is also directly matched. Heptachlor, pesticides and vector control. So all of them are directly matched. We can say A, B, C, D, 1, 2, 3, 4. A is the correct answer. Then we can say which of the above can be used as producing renewable energy. ठीक है, renewable energy देख सकते हैं, जेट्रोपा सीड से क्या होता है, बायोडीजल तैयार कर सकते हैं हम. Then sugarcane molasses, bioethanol. Rice straw, biomass burning, again renewable energy. Co-pellets or co-firing, we can say animal dung, biogas production. Okay, so all of them we can say C is the correct answer. C is the correct answer. Next is ozone depletion. Which of the following statement regarding ozone depletion is correct? Okay, so tropospheric ozone depletion is primary cause of increased ultraviolet radiation reaching on the Earth's surface. So, tropospheric nahi, stratospheric, right? Stratospheric ozone. Chlorofluorocarbons contribute to ozone formation. In the ozone formation nahi, ozone hole formation hona chahiye. Ozone formation mein nahi hota hai. Again incorrect. Then the Antarctic ozone hole forms each year during the spring due to catalytic destruction of ozone. Ye sahi hai statement. So C is the correct answer. Montreal Protocol aims to primarily reducing greenhouse gases. No, ozone depleting gases. To mitigate the global warming nahi, to ozone depletion ke related hai. Montreal Protocol. All right. So C is the correct answer. Which of the following statement about engineered nanoparticles? Engineered nanoparticles can enter soil, aquatic ecosystem via wastewater treatment plants, sludge and surface runoff. Sahi hai. Then toxicity of these can influence by their size, surface charge, shape. That is true. Existing regulatory framework treat nanoparticles separately from their bulk material. No, they do not consider them separately, and that's why that is the challenge. Okay, engineered nanoparticles are only released during the manufacturing and not during the use or disposal. Incorrect. They are also released from the use or disposal. So ये दोनों incorrect है. 1 and 2 only is correct answer. Next, sustainable aviation fuel. It can be blended with the conventional aviation turbine fuel used in existing aircraft. Correct. It can be produced from the feedstock such as cooking oil, agriculture residue. This is also true. It can be produced synthetically from the carbon captured from the air. That is also true. ठीक है, तो हम बोल सकते हैं कि 1, 2, 3 is the correct answer, but still let me confirm this. Yes, okay, so D is the correct answer here. Now next, regarding red panda, again the species based question. They are primarily a herbivore with the diet consisting 95% bamboo leaves and shoots, although they are classified in the order Carnivora. This is correct because if you see their ancestors, all the features and we can say the teeth and we can say claws and all the features, they are still carried from their ancestors of carnivores, but over the period they have changed their let us say dietary habits because of lack of predators and all these things. Now they have become the herbivores. ठीक है, so 1 is the correct answer. They are nocturnal, usually solitary. हमें लगता है कि पैंडा मूवी देखने के बाद कि सब वो एक साथ में रहता है, तो ऐसा नहीं है. रेड पैंडा इज डिफरेंट वन, सॉलिटरी एनिमल है. It is state animal of Sikkim. This is correct. In India, largely in the Himalayan state, it is found especially in northeast India. All 3 statements are correct here. C is the correct answer. All right, and the last question for environment section. National Lake Conservation Plan, consider the following statement. It was launched in 2001 with the aim to restore, conserve lakes and their biodiversity. That is true. Year yaad rakhna hai. Both natural and man-made lakes used for drinking water supply, let us say, are eligible. This is also correct. After 2013, this was merged under let us say National Plan for Conservation and Aquatic Ecosystem. क्योंकि wetlands और lakes को अलग-अलग treat किया जाता था पहले. Now they are merged under this National Plan for Conservation of Aquatic Ecosystem. Okay, so all 3 statements are correct here also. D is the correct answer. All right, so these are the environment related questions.
Hello everyone. Now let us have a discussion on the polity section for AIPMT paper 2, right? Let us begin. The first question says, the deputy speaker discharges the functions of the speaker's office in the speaker's absence but not authorized to preside over a joint sitting of both houses of the parliament. This statement is correct. The deputy speaker is authorized to preside over the joint sitting of the houses also. When the appointment as a member of a parliament committee, the deputy Speaker automatically assumes the chairmanship. This statement is correct. A member of the panel of chairpersons of the Lok Sabha is not empowered to preside over the House when both the offices of the Speaker and Deputy Speaker are vacant. This statement is also correct. So the right answer, okay, the question asks you to find the incorrect statement. The incorrect statement is one only. The right answer is option A, right? Next. So a money bill can only be introduced in the House of the People and not in the Council of States. So House of the People is Lok Sabha, Council of States is Rajya Sabha. This statement is correct because Article 109 Clause 1 explicitly states that the money bill cannot be introduced in Rajya Sabha. Correct? Now read this statement along with the provisions of the Article 1010 and 1017 Clause 1. Right? So Article 110 specifies what contains in a money bill, and 117 Clause 1 specifies that it can only be introduced on the recommendation of the President. Statement 2, the rule is based on the democratic principle that decisions on taxation and public expenditure, that is Article 110, must be controlled by the House directly elected by the people. Now, that is the philosophy behind empowering the Lok Sabha to present the money bills or to introduce the money bills. That is the direct democratic accountability for the public expenses and the revenues that are generated. Right? Direct democratic accountability. Which in a way understand that no taxation without representation. Right? Third statement, the Speaker of the Lok Sabha's decision is whether a bill is a money bill or not can be challenged by a resolution passed by a simple majority of both the houses of the parliament. This statement is inherently incorrect because the decision of the Speaker of the Lok Sabha is final, depending whether the bill is money bill or not, but the House, the Parliament or either of the House cannot question that decision, though that is a very different aspect whether it can be questioned in the court of law or not, but not by the members of the House, right? So third statement is incorrect, and only one of the statements 2 and 3 is correct, and that explains statement 1. Option C is the correct answer because statement 2, that is direct democratic responsibility, explains that why a money bill is introduced only in the Lok Sabha. Right. Next. Which of the following statements regarding Article 14 of the Indian Constitution are correct? It prohibits the state from denying to any person equality before the law or the equal protection of the laws within the territory of India to any person. Now, reading the constitutional provisions is important because you will get to know whether it is written as any person or the citizen of India. Right? Article 14 talks about any person. So the provisions mentioned or enshrined under Article 14 are available to all the persons, not just the citizens of India. Right? So first statement is correct. Second, it applies exclusively to citizens of India and not to the corporate bodies or foreigners. Well, there are various Supreme Court judgments which specifies that the provisions under Article 14 are applicable to the corporate bodies as well as to the foreign citizens. Now, in case of foreign citizens, we have a judgment on the Rohingya crisis. Right? The Supreme Court was of the opinion that the persons are protected under the provisions of Article 14. The deportations which were going on, and they held that these deportations which were unauthorized were illegal, right? And they were protected under the provisions of Article 14. Now, when we talk about the corporate bodies, we know about the various court judgments on the Vodafone case and similar other cases where the companies tried and successfully tried to get their cases heard under the provisions of Article 14. They wanted to have that equal protection of law and equality before law, and they were heard for the violation of Article 14, right? So this statement is inherently incorrect. The concept of equal protection of laws allows for a reasonable classification of persons, objects, and transactions by law. That is reasonable classification. That is allowed under Article 14, right? So both statements 1 and 3 are correct. Statement 2 is incorrect, and we have to find the correct options. The right answer is option D, 1 and 3 only. Next. Consider the following statements. The power of judicial review allows the Supreme Court of India to declare any law passed by the Parliament unconstitutional if it violates the fundamental rights of the citizens. Yes, that statement is correct. The Supreme Court held in the Keshwanand Bharti case that the judicial review is part of the basic structure of the Constitution and therefore cannot be taken away even by the constitutional amendment. Now, both the statements are correct, but understand that statement 2 is not the correct explanation of statement 1. Just the doctrine itself is not the violation, but we need to check about the constitutional provisions whether they are violated or not. Statement 2 talks about the doctrine which needs to be applied when we check or validate the provisions of the Constitution or any other law. Second statement, when read alone, is correct, but that is not the correct explanation for statement 1. Right? So the right answer is statement option B. Both the statement 1 and 2 are correct, but statement 2 is not the correct explanation of statement 1. Next. Consider the following statements regarding the Deputy Chairman of the Rajya Sabha. The Deputy Chairman is elected by the Rajya Sabha from amongst its members, and any casual vacancy in the office is filled by the fresh election. Elected by the Rajya Sabha from amongst its members, casual vacancy in the office is filled by the fresh election. This statement is correct. Second statement is, while presiding over the House, the Deputy Chairman has the right to vote only in the case of an equality of votes similar to the Speaker of Rajya Sabha. Now, first part of the statement is correct. Now, comparing it to the powers of the Speaker of the Lok Sabha is incorrect. Now, even when the Speaker cannot vote in the first instance when it is presiding, even when the Deputy Speaker of the House is presiding, right? Apart from that one particular condition when there is a resolution for the removal of the Speaker, right? So that provisions, the comparison between the Deputy Chairman of the Rajya Sabha and the Speaker of the Lok Sabha makes this statement incorrect. The resignation of the Deputy Chairman is addressed to the Chairman of the Rajya Sabha, but their removal from the office requires a resolution passed by a simple majority of all the then members of the House. This statement is also correct, and we are supposed to find the correct statements. So only 2 statements are correct. Option B. Consider the following statements regarding the adjournment motion in the Indian Parliament. The adjournment motion is moved to draw the attention of the House to a definite matter of urgent public importance, and its adoption leads to the adjournment of the normal business to discuss the issue. Adjournment of the normal business, correct. An adjournment motion can be admitted by the presiding officer only with the prior approval of the President. That is incorrect. Now, where there is something which is very pressing issue, and there is a discussion and deliberation going on the floor of the House, then the matter is considered immediately by the presiding officer of the House, Speaker or Deputy Speaker, and then the adjournment motion is made, but it cannot be admitted. It is incorrect to say that it is admitted by having the approval, prior approval by the President. That statement is incorrect. The Rajya Sabha can also move. This statement is also incorrect. Rajya Sabha cannot, we do not have the provisions of adjournment motion in the Rajya Sabha. We have other various mechanisms, calling attention motion we can say, or there are other various mechanisms that we use in the Rajya Sabha to raise issue of public importance or a very pressing issue, but adjournment motion is not something that we do in the Rajya Sabha. The statement 2 and 3 are incorrect, and we have to find the right statement. Option A, 1 only. Right. Next. The campaign Swasth Nari Sashakt Parivar Abhiyan aims to improve health outcomes for women, adolescent girls and children, provide screening for communicable and non-communicable diseases, conduct health counseling and awareness sessions on nutrition and hygiene, strengthen immunization and child health coverage, ensure access to comprehensive health services nationwide. Now, most of the statements we can see that they are somewhat similar and more in consonance with the name of the scheme, Swasth Nari Sashakt Parivar. But how do we know the important provisions of any new scheme or the already existing scheme that is launched by the government? So we need to read them in detail, at least just the sharing of the finances, how the distribution is made between the state and the center, and what are the aims and objectives, who all are covered under the scheme. So these are the important things that UPSC has been asking for past few years. So for this particular question, all the 5 provisions are correct, and just understand that when we say improve health outcomes for women, adolescent girls and children, you will find at various places that they are talking about this term. You will find at various places. Now understand this particular term. This means reproductive health, maternal health, neonatal care, child care, adolescent care, health and nutrition. All these aspects are covered under the scheme. Now, covering these aspects also includes about screening. We have that Poshan Maha scheme, Poshan Maha, and under when that month, when we celebrate or when we have that month going on, then various programs are initiated or done or executed just to have better screenings. Under the programs, health counseling is also done, awareness sessions are also taken about the nutrition. They are also talked about immunization, and just in case if someone is left behind and were not immunized at the right time, then we do have the provisions for immunization also. And the provisions to ensure that the access for comprehensive healthcare services, right? So all the 5 provisions are actually the objectives of Swasth Nari and Sashakt Parivar Abhiyan, and the right answer is option D, all 5. The Parliament under Article 368 envisages amending any part of the Constitution, including the fundamental rights. How many of the following elements of the basic structure shall not be violated? Secular character of the Constitution, federal character of the Constitution, parliamentary system, republican and democratic form of government. Now, these are the elements which are included under the ambit of basic structure doctrine, and the question says which of the following cannot be violated. Understand the nuance of the question. None of the basic structure doctrine, none of the elements of the basic structure doctrine can be overshadowed or can be amended by the Parliament, though amendments can be made without distorting the basic structure. Now, these are the basic structures. We know the court cases where they were pronounced. We have known about S.R. Bomai case. We talk about Indira Gandhi Raj Narayan, and we talk about Minerva Mills, and there are various Supreme Court judgments which have contributed to the expansion of basic structure doctrine. Now, when we talk about which of the following provisions cannot be amended, first check whether that is a provision under the basic structure doctrine or not. And then if you can find them, please understand that none of the features or none of the provisions of the basic structure doctrine can be amended or distorted, right? So the right answer is D, all 4. Right. Next. The right to be free from the adverse effects of climate change is recognized under which of the following fundamental rights? Now, that is a very important Supreme Court judgment that we have been reading about M.K. Ranjit Singh's Supreme Court judgment. Right, and the Supreme Court specifically said that the right against the adverse effects of climate change are included both under the right to life and equal protection of law, right? So both under Article 14 and Article 21. Next. Consider the following statements. The President of India does not enjoy qualified veto. That is correct. The President of India must give his assent with respect to the Constitutional Amendment Bill. That is also correct, that we know about 24th Constitutional Amendment Act. The Constitution does not prescribe any time limit. Constitution does not prescribe any time limit within which the President has to take a decision with respect to the bill presented to him for his assent. Now, we have been reading the newspapers, and there was a judgment by the Supreme Court, and then there was a presidential reference for 14 questions. And most recently, just last week, we have had the opinion of the Supreme Court that the President or the Governor cannot be compelled to make a decision within a prescribed time limit, and having done so will amount to exceeding the distribution of powers or exceeding the limits, judicial limits of the Supreme Court, and those things might lead to undermining the authority of the President as well as Governor. Now, in that particular sense, Supreme Court has also added one small provision that indefinite delay might attract a limited scope of judicial review. That does not mean that they are prescribing the time limits. But Constitution does not prescribe the time limit, they just say as soon as possible. So third statement is also correct. So the right answer is option D, 1, 2 and 3. Consider the following officials: Advocate General of the State, State Election Commissioner, members of the State Public Service Commission, members of the State Human Rights Commission. How many of the above are appointed as well as removed by the governor of a state? So we know that only Advocate General is removed by the governor of a state, rest others. The State Election Commissioner, the members of the Public Service Commission, members of the Human Rights Commissions are removed through there are various mechanisms. State Election Commissioner can be removed by following the procedure in the same manner in which the judge of the High Court can be removed, and the members are removed by the President. So only one. The right answer is only one. Next. Consider the following pairs about the power of the President of India listed in list 1 with its constitutional features or article in list 2. Executive power, appointing the chairman and members of the Finance Commission. Legislative power, directly administering union territories through appointed administrators. And financial power, about promulgating ordinances when the parliament is not in session. So ordinances is about the legislative power, not the financial power. So, and executive power is about administering. Financial powers are about the Finance Commission and chairman, right? How many of the above given pairs are correctly matched? None of the pair is correctly matched. The answer is option D, none. How does the Finance Commission promote the cooperative federalism? By giving the center exclusive power to levy taxes, negotiating revenue sharing with states via committee membership, by being an independent body whose recommendations must be accepted by both center and states, by periodically recommending grants and transfers that respect the need of the states. Right, understand that statement 3, the word must makes it incorrect. Though most of the recommendations are accepted by the government, but it is not mandatory to accept those kind of recommendations. Now, exclusive power does not hold true when we talk about cooperative federalism. So, first statement and third statements are incorrect. By negotiating revenue sharing, the Finance Commission does not negotiate, but it periodically recommend grants and transfers that respect the needs of the states. We have talked about it at various instances that there is a formula for vertical and horizontal sharing of the revenues, and that formula also addresses the needs, demands and issues of various states, and they are also in a way suggesting that your needs, your demands will be addressed without hampering the needs and requirements of the other states. So that specifically addresses the issue that they cooperate. When the issues are addressed at the ground level, the cooperation improves. The basic intent behind the vertical and horizontal sharing of the revenues is about maintaining the cooperative or advancing the cooperative federalism. Option D is correct. Next. The 69th Constitutional Amendment Act is related to, we know the important Constitutional Amendment Acts, that is granting representative form of government to the NCT of Delhi. Option A is the right answer. Now you tell me the next Constitutional Amendment Act, which was again related to the powers of the governor and the chief minister, in the NCT of Delhi. Now, what was that Constitutional Amendment Act and when was it made? Do comment in the box below and just tell me, right? Next, in the context of the role of civil society organizations in development and democratic governance, which of the following represents the most significant and defining function? Assumes the primary operational responsibility. No, the CSOs or civil society organizations do not have the primary responsibility, rather they work as a supplement or they coordinate with the state machinery. For universal public service delivery to mitigate inherent systematic inefficiencies. Now, it is very exaggerated way to say that they have the primary responsibility. No, they do not have a primary responsibility, rather they supplement or they help the state machineries to reach at the very last note. Statement A is incorrect. Institutionalizes mechanisms for performance auditing, social accountability, and grassroots feedback on public policy implementation. Okay, now we see only the 3 statements here. Right. Option B is correct. It helps for the performance auditing and accountability. It generates the awareness among the people, among the citizens. It generates the awareness about the social audit. It generates awareness about how to ask questions and seek answers from the state machinery. Now, the third statement is about sole intermediary between the state apparatus and the citizenry. That is also incorrect. And the last statement, which is not displayed here, read your question papers for that. The last statement says it ensures the financial sustainability of non-profit development initiatives by mandating their exclusive dependence on the multilateral and bilateral foreign development aid. Now, that statement is incorrect because it does not talk about or it does not mandate the exclusive reliance on the foreign aid. Rather, that foreign aid, the whole and sole dependence on the foreign aid might question about the sovereignty, might raise questions about the sovereignty of a nation, might raise doubts about the foreign influence for the national interest. So, that statement is also incorrect. Option B is the right answer for question number 50, right? Now, right, so that's all from the polity section. I believe most of the questions were doable, apart from just 1 or 2 questions about that Nari Shakti Abhiyan and the 3 statement questions where the doctrines were asked. So, apart from that, most of the questions were doable, were from the basic standard textbooks, and just utilize this opportunity to find the faults in your preparation level and build over them, rectify them. The prelims is approaching. Revise as much as you can and have faith on the knowledge that you have already have. There is a very good chance of clearing through the prelims when you are confident enough about the knowledge that you already have, about the basics, about the repeated questions and themes and concepts in the prelims examination. Be very sure about it, and that will take you further. Thank you. Good luck.
Hello everyone. Welcome to Lukmaan IAS. So today I am going to discuss the science and technology questions that came in the recent AIPMT test. Alright. So there are 10 questions. Question number 26 to 35 in the question paper are from science and technology section. Okay. So let us discuss the first question, which is question number 26 in the question paper. This question is related to technologies of industry 5.0. Okay, so like you might have heard about this term industry 4.0 and industry 5.0. So this question tests your understanding related to whether you clearly know the difference between industry 4.0 or industry 5.0 or not, right? So we will see these statements. First statement says that digital twins are used only in product design. Okay, so basically this statement is incorrect. Why it is the case? Because digital twins are, let's say, like digital counterpart of physical objects, right? So they are not only used in product design, but like they are also used for various kinds of analytics. Okay, so it helps the businesses, I mean, like, before making, right, they create products also, they kind of understand how different, let's say, like, how marketability will be there, what will be the cost of it. Okay, so basically digital twins go beyond product design, including supply chain management and predictive maintenance. All right, so that's why first statement in this question is incorrect. Second statement, Internet of Things allows connected devices to communicate. Okay, so Internet of Things, basically things are connected over the internet. There can be multiple devices in a factory, in a home, or in any corporate settings, right? All those devices may share data with one another, they can communicate with one another because they are connected with one another and they are connected with the internet also. That's the Internet of Things. This statement is right. Now it says artificial intelligence is primarily used for automating repetitive tasks without human interaction. This statement is also wrong. Why? Because, like, when we talk about Industry 5.0, it focuses on human interaction. Basically, like, some of the repeated tasks may be given to artificial intelligence, but decision making is to be done by the human being. So human being work in collaboration with robotics, with artificial intelligence, with Internet of Things. A lot of things work alongside humans. So it is like, human machine interface, basically. Okay, so third statement is also wrong, because like here they are saying like without human intervention. Okay, and the first statement says that it is used only in product design. No, it is also used in supply chain, it is also used in marketing, it is also used in many other areas. That's the thing. So only one statement is correct, which is statement 2 is correct in this question. With this, let us quickly move to the next question. So this is question number 27 in the question paper. Consider the following statements about green hydrogen. Okay, green hydrogen, basically, like, now we are talking about reducing the air pollution, we are talking about minimizing the pollution in the atmosphere, right? So that's why we need to move to alternative sources of energy that are more, let's say, environmentally friendly. So green hydrogen is one such things, right? Green hydrogen is produced using a method that is known as electrolysis. During the production of green hydrogen, we use renewable sources of energy. Maybe solar energy may be used, geothermal energy may be used, any other form of energy may be used that is environmentally friendly, that does not pollute the environment. Okay, so that's the thing. So it says it is directly produced by coal gasification. Okay, this statement is wrong. The process is electrolysis of water, okay, for producing green hydrogen, and we use, let's say, renewable sources of energy during the production of green hydrogen. Now second statement, it can be used for decarbonizing transportation and industry. Okay, it can be used for decarbonizing transportation and industry. This statement is right. Okay, green hydrogen, I mean, like, why we are using, because, like, green hydrogen may be used for transportation purposes in vehicles and all. So when green hydrogen will be used, it is going to emit lesser amount of greenhouse gases. So it is going to decarbonize, okay, the transportation sector, it is going to decarbonize the industrial settings also, manufacturing units, etc. So statement B, only option 2 is correct in this question. Okay, so they are asking which of the given above statements are correct. Now we will move to next question. Question number 28. Consider the following statements about fighter aircrafts. Okay, so this question is from defense technology, and here we are asking about fighter aircrafts. Basically, let's say, like, here again 4th generation aircrafts and 5th generation aircrafts, I mean, like, are in news. So you need to understand what is the difference between 4th generation and 5th generation. Basically, in the explanation file that you may have received, right? So there we have given in detail, in tabular form, what is the difference between 4th generation and 5th generation of aircrafts, and also 4th industrial revolution and 5th industrial revolution, okay, which was there in question number 26. So this question says, first statement, the hypersonic speed capability is a defining feature of all 5th generation fighter aircraft. This statement is wrong. Why? Because like this is one of the feature. It's not a defining thing that, I mean, like, you know, if you have a 5th generation aircraft, it should only be, or it should be at least, let's say, like, you know, hypersonic speed capability. 4th generation aircraft can also have hypersonic speed capability. So that's why this statement is wrong, because it says it is a defining feature of all 5th generation, let's say, fighter aircraft. This statement is wrong. Second, India recently signed a contract to purchase 5th generation Su-35 stealth fighter from Russia. This statement is also wrong, because the aircraft which is in question, which is Su-35, basically this aircraft is a 4th generation aircraft, okay? It's not a 5th generation aircraft. So that's why this statement is wrong. Third statement, India's Advanced Medium Combat Aircraft Project aims to develop 5th generation fighter with indigenous engine technology. This statement is right. So correct answer is only one, okay? Which statement is correct? Only one. Option A is the right answer. So with this, now let us move to the next question, okay? We will move to question number 29. Consider the following statements. We are given 2 statements. We will see these 2 statements. Precise modification of DNA sequences can be done in living organism. Basically, this particular question is from biotechnology, all right? So it says precise modification of DNA sequences can be done in living organism. This statement is right. Basically, you might have heard about a technology which is known as CRISPR-Cas technology, okay? CRISPR-Cas technology. So CRISPR stands for clustered, regularly interspaced, short palindromic repeats, okay? Cas9, basically it's an enzyme that attaches itself, right, to that portion of gene which is to be removed, okay, which is to be altered, okay? So precise modification within the living organism is possible using this particular technology. So first statement is right. Second statement, One Health links human, animal and environmental health to fight zoonotic diseases. This statement is also right. Basically, like, you know, in the field of biotechnology, in the field of, let's say, like, you know, basically human diseases and all, one concept has emerged. This concept is known as One Health concept. So One Health concept says that health of the human beings, health of the animals and health of the plants or environment, they are interlinked. They should be considered as one health, right? If health of any one of these entities are affected, the health of other entities are also going to be affected. For example, let's say if the health of animals get affected hugely, so it's going to affect the health of human beings also. It's going to affect the health of, let's say, like, you know, environment as well. Are you understanding? One prominent example is COVID-19. In COVID-19, what has happened? A zoonotic disease, okay, a disease which has arisen from bat, right? It is started spreading everywhere. So that COVID-19 virus, it affected human beings. Lot of human beings got killed during that particular thing. So health of the animal is linked with the health of the human beings, okay? Similarly, health of the environment is also linked with the health of the human beings. It is linked with the health of the animals and all. So all these three are interlinked with one another. So One Health concept, it links human, animal and environmental health to fight zoonotic diseases. So both these statements are correct. So correct answer is option C in this question, okay? Option C is the right answer. Now we will move to next question. This question basically gives 3 statements, okay? So first statement, nuclear fusion reactors are currently commercial and widely used in India's power generation mix, okay? Nuclear fusion reactors are commonly commercial and widely used in India's power generation mix. This statement is wrong. Why it is the case? Because, like, let's say, like, there are 2 types of nuclear reactions. One is nuclear fission reaction, other is nuclear fusion reaction. Nuclear fission reaction is the reaction that happens in almost all nuclear power plants that we have in India, right? So for example, like pressurized heavy water reactors, prototype fast breeder reactors, here nuclear fission reaction happens. One big atomic nuclei, it breaks into smaller atomic nuclei, okay? For example, like uranium-238. So it breaks into smaller nuclei, right? That is known as nuclear fission reaction. So nuclear fission reaction is widely operational, right? But when we talk about nuclear fusion reaction, in nuclear fusion reaction, two hydrogen nuclei attach to one another to form helium, and it leads to generation of huge amount of energy. And this kind of reaction happens on the surface of the sun. It does not happen, let's say, like, you know, on nuclear reactors that are operational now. Okay, so that's why statement 1 is incorrect, right? Instead of nuclear fusion, it should be nuclear fission, right? Then the statement would be right. Otherwise, nuclear fusion is wrong. It says India's prototype fast breeder reactor uses fast neutrons and breeder technology to generate electricity. This statement is right. Basically, when we talk about India's fast breeder reactor, it has been made operational in Kalpakkam. This particular place is located in Tamil Nadu. Okay, so prototype fast breeder reactor has been made operational. So here what happens, fast neutrons and breeder technology is used to generate electricity. Basically, like, you know, more fissile material is generated, right, from fertile material over here. Okay, so this statement is right. The experimental fusion reactor, okay, there is a international, let's say, like, you know, thermonuclear experimental fusion reactor. In short, it is known as experimental fusion reactor, ITER, International Thermonuclear Experimental Reactor, aims to demonstrate the feasibility of fission as a large scale energy source. This statement is again wrong. It's basically, it is trying to make fusion reaction work. India is also a party to it, right? India contributes about 10% of overall funding that is needed to experiment with this particular project, and also India has contributed around 200 scientists in this particular project. So the thing is, statement 2 is correct, which is only one. How many of the given statements are correct? Only this particular statement is correct. So correct answer is option A. Now with this, we will move to another question. Consider the following statements about precision medicine. Okay, we all know what is precision medicine. Precision medicine is a medicine which is directed towards treating an individual, right? For treating an individual, proper medication system will be developed and it is going to be targeted towards that individual. And for precision medicine, we take into account many factors. What is the genetic profile of the person in question for whom precision medicine is to be developed. Then we also see his lifestyle. We also see his environment. Means like there can be a person who is residing in Siberia, there can be a person who is residing in Africa, there can be a person who is residing in India or maybe in Australia. So their environment vary, right? The place where they reside varies. And their lifestyle also varies, right? And their genetic makeup also varies. So precision medicine is targeted towards an individual, right? So first statement says precision medicine customizes healthcare treatments based only on genetic factors. No, genetic factors along with environment of the individual, plus, let's say, like, no, plus one more factor that we discussed, right? Genetic factors, environment, and also, let's say, lifestyle of the person is taken into account. Okay, lifestyle of the person is taken into account. Genomic sequencing is a key technology enabling precision medicine. Okay, so this statement is right. Genomic sequencing, I mean, like, you know, we need to sequence the genome of the individual in question to understand his genetic makeup. And after then, tailor-made solution will be made for him. So second statement is right. So correct answer is only 2. Option B is correct here. Okay. Now let us talk about another question. Question number 32. Here they have given 2 questions. Recently we have seen, let's say, aircraft accident that happened in Ahmedabad. After then we have also seen in news, let's say, many aircraft, they are facing a lot of problems. What kind of problems the aircrafts are facing? Number one problem that the aircrafts are facing is, like, you know, they have noticed some kind of GPS signal manipulation, right? So many a times it was noticed in the airspace of India. So that's an important thing. So first statement, inertial navigation system calculates aircraft position using gyroscopes and accelerometers without external signals. This statement is correct, okay. Basically it is the internal mechanism within the aircraft that does not rely on any other external factors. The instruments that are within the aircraft, in case let's say like no signals that they are receiving are blocked, no signal is coming, still the aircraft will be able to understand what is its position, right? What is its position, how high it is, let's say whether it is tilted or not, right? So these systems help, right? So inertial navigation system, it calculates aircraft's position using these instruments. One of the instrument is gyroscope, another instrument is accelerometer. It does not use any external signal to calculate it, okay. This statement is right. Flight director and autopilot system rely on accurate input from altimeter and altitude indicator to maintain a stable flight, okay. This statement is also correct, okay. Both these statements are correct. So which of the above are correct? Both these statements are correct. Option C is the right answer in this question, okay. Which option? Option C is the right answer. Now let us discuss about another question, question number 33. Consider the following statements regarding agricultural technologies. So in this question we are discussing about technologies related to agriculture, okay. Genetic engineering enables the development of pest resistant and drought tolerant crop varieties. This statement is correct, okay. Genetic engineering, we know, I mean like beta cotton and many other let's say genetic engineering things, they increase the pest resistance, okay. They make it drought tolerant, right? So like in cotton it is used, in many other crops it is used. So BT cotton is an example of genetically modified crop that revolutionized pest control in Indian agriculture. This statement is also right, okay. This statement is also right in this question. Smart irrigation technologies do not have any significant impact in Indian farming practices. This statement is wrong. See, smart irrigation practices are being utilized in India, okay. You might have heard about drip irrigation, sprinkler irrigation. There are many types of irrigation systems. They are smart, right? So basically like apart from this, new systems of irrigation are also being developed, right? So and they have a lot of impact in agricultural practices, because we all know that groundwater is depleting in those regions where agriculture is being practiced intensively. For example, when we talk about Haryana, Punjab, Chandigarh, right? These places, I mean like here, huge amount of agricultural practices are being done and groundwater is reported to be depleted, okay. It is depleting. So that's the thing. First and second statement is correct, third statement is incorrect, okay. So option B is the right answer in this question. Option B, question number 33. Now we will move to the next question, question number 34. We will read this question. Consider the following statements regarding technologies associated with mitigation and control of air pollution, okay. Air pollution is a very big issue in India, especially in major cities like Delhi, Bombay, let's say Chennai and Kolkata, right? So Delhi is one of the most polluted cities in the world. I mean like the air pollution level is very high. If you are residing in Delhi like us, right, just residing in Delhi amounts to consuming more than 50 cigarettes per day. I mean like even if you are not consuming cigarettes, but the health impact is that way, okay. So it is very difficult to sustain in Delhi. So they have given three statements. First statement, electrostatic precipitators remove particulate matter from industrial emissions, okay. This statement is right. So it is known as electrostatic precipitators. We are talking about technologies associated with mitigation of air pollution. So electrostatic precipitators, what they do, basically they remove particulate matter from industrial emission by charging particles electrostatically and tapping them onto collector plates. They are widely used in power plants and industrial facilities to efficiently reduce particulate pollution. This statement is right. Second statement, combustion control technologies focus on preventing pollution by chemically neutralizing gases in exhaust streams. This statement is wrong. Why? Because combustion control technologies, what they do during the combustion process itself, right, they basically like reduce the pollution. they do not go in the exhaust part. Exhaust means after the combustion has happened, now exhaust will happen. I mean, like, you know, so there, I mean, like, you know, chemically neutralizing, these things do not happen. So combustion control technologies aim to reduce pollutant formation during the combustion process itself, typically by optimizing temperature, oxygen supply and fuel mixture. They do not chemically neutralize gases in exhaust streams. That is the function of other control methods such as scrubbers. Okay, that's the thing. Third statement. Wet scrubbers are liquid solutions to absorb and remove gaseous pollutants like sulfur dioxide. Okay, third statement is correct. Alright, so it is about wet scrubbers. So 1 and 3, it means only 2 statements are correct. Okay, option B is the right answer, only 2. Now let us move to next question, question number 35. We'll see this question. Consider the following statements related to nanotechnology. What technology? Nanotechnology. Okay, so 2 statements are there. Nanoparticles are used in targeted drug delivery systems. This statement is right. This is one of the application of nanotechnology in, let's say, in the field of medicine, right? In the field of medicine, it is used in targeted drug delivery system. You might have heard about, let's say, nanotubes, carbon nanotubes and all. So nanomaterials are employed in solar cells and batteries. This is also correct. So both these statements are correct, and correct answer is option C, right? 1 and 2, both 1 and 2. So with this, we have discussed all questions from science and technology area. If you still have some questions, you can ask your question in the description of this particular video. Okay, so that's all from my side, right, for the day. Thank you so much for attending this particular test and also joining us on the discussion of science and technology section.
Hello and welcome to Lukmaan IAS. So today in this particular video, we will be taking the discussions of the questions which were asked from the economy sections of AIPMT 2. So quickly we'll see the questions and we'll see the correct answer and expected discussions on those questions. So the first question which appeared in the economy section was question number 16, which relates to off-budget borrowings. Off-budget borrowings, it is clear from the word itself that is not accounted in the budgetary document. So that means off-budget borrowings are not included when calculating the government fiscal deficit. This is correct because the particular expenditure is not accounted in budgetary document. So that becomes off budget, and fiscal deficit is all about the total receipts and total expenditure excluding the government borrowing part. So off budget borrowing is outside the government borrowing part. Okay, so that is why it is not part of fiscal deficit. These borrowings generally involve public sector entities, especially the special purpose vehicles which are created for specific purposes. So they raise bonds and they take the borrowings, and that is why they are not accounted as a part of government's budgetary document. So that is why it is outside fiscal deficit. Entities raising funds to meet government expenditure obligations. This is correct. Like Noida Authority raising something that may not be for a specific, say YIDA, Yamuna Expressway Industrial Development Authority, which may raise bonds for a specific purpose, but that may not be accounted as a part of UP government's budget. Okay, so that is off budget borrowing. The government cannot use its budgetary resources to repay the off budget borrowing. This is incorrect, however. So what happens is that the document says that the off budget borrowings are not part of fiscal deficit, but if any issue related to repayment comes into picture, the government may repay through its own budgetary allocation, because it is ultimately the government's liability to pay off all the debts. It is the government's liability to pay all the debts. So that is why this statement becomes incorrect. You got this thing? Not accounted for the first time, but in case of repayment, the government can use its budgetary resources. That is why this is incorrect. 1 and 2 statements are correct. B is the correct answer for question number 16. So horticulture sector. So agriculture data based question. You need to be quite you can say have that value and data about the horticultural development and allied activities also, apart from the agricultural data. So India is the second largest producer of fruits and vegetables in the world, obviously after China. China is the first. So this is correct. The area under horticultural crops is greater than the area under food grain crops. This is incorrect. Although the total horticultural production is more than food grain production. Food grain production is roughly 350 million tons. This is food grain, but horti it is around what 370 million tons. So that is way more than food grain production. However, area under cultivation is roughly 330 million hectare only, billion hectare for horti. It is total area or gross cropped area. And for food grain means cereals, pulses and all millets etc. It is roughly 130 million hectare. So despite being only 1/4 of total area which is covered by food grains, horticulture produces more than in terms of weightage as compared to food grains. So that is why second statement becomes incorrect. A is only correct for question number 17. Question 18 says Urban Challenge Fund. So the Urban Challenge Fund provides up to 25% funding for bankable urban redevelopment projects. This is correct. It aims to help states tackle issue like weak urban planning or basically haphazard urban development, fragmented land ownership. This is also correct. The UCF focuses creating redevelopment, no greenfield, basically brownfield or retrofitting, no greenfield. Existing cities have to be made over. There is a makeover for the existing cities in terms of urban amenities. 1 and 2 are only correct. A is the correct answer for question number 18. So how many of the above can lead to depreciation of the Indian rupee? Depreciation means rupee falling from 80 to 85. That is depreciation. Lower inflation in India than its major trading partner. This is incorrect. That will lead to appreciation. If there is lower inflation, India rupee is likely to appreciate because the purchasing power of rupee becomes stronger. Because if the local currency has inflation issues, it likely depreciates faster. Rising yield in government bond market. This is also incorrect. If government bond yields increase, then there is interest rate differentials. Interest rate on US bonds are less as compared to interest rate which are offered on Indian bonds. So Indian bonds become attractive and that may pull more foreign investment into bond market in India and that will lead to appreciation of currency. So that is why the question is asking about depreciation. That is why this becomes incorrect. A widening trade deficit, obviously more trade deficit, more pressure on Indian currency because we need to get more dollars to settle the trade, whatsoever trade accounts which are there. So that will lead to more depreciation. This is correct. Full capital account convertibility. This is also correct because if there is full capital account convertibility, what would happen? Rather than more inflows into India, there would be more outflows. There would be more capital flight, more money moving out of India. That is why India is actually adopting partial capital account convertibility because India is a developing nation. India does not have a sound financial system currently as compared to many of the developed nations, and that is why India has a partial capital account convertibility. So if India adopts full capital account convertibility, that is likely to lead to more vulnerability and depreciation. So 3 and 4 are only correct. Out of 4, 2 are only correct. B is the correct answer. So this is the conceptual part. Okay. Question number 20 about the deposit insurance. Deposit insurance covers up to rupees 5 lakh. This is correct. So this was a news that the government of India is thinking about increasing this deposit insurance to rupees 10 lakh. But that is also still in debate, in you can say consultation phase itself. So DICGC, the Deposit Insurance and Credit Guarantee Corporation, is a fully owned subsidiary of the Reserve Bank of India. This is also correct. Deposit insurance is optional for cooperative bank. No. Deposit insurance is applicable for SCBs, cooperative banks, private sector, public sector banks, private sector banks, regional rural banks, everything. Okay. It is not optional. So 1 and 2 are only correct. A is correct only. 71st question now. With reference to the RBI's digital payment index. So digital payments index was unveiled by RBI to check and to see the progress in digital payments infrastructure as to how people are using it, how available it is, how accessible it is, how easy people are actually using those digital payments infrastructure, be it the QR payments, UPIs, be it the card payment system or Aadhaar enabled payment systems or Bharat Bill payment system, BBPS. There are many things which are related to digital payments. So that is why they came out with a particular index, that is digital payments index. So digital payment index measures the extent of digitalization of payments in India. This is correct, obviously that is the idea behind digital payments index. The DPI is published annually with a base year of 2018. With a base year of 2018, not 2016. The DPI tracks all retail payments and large value payments like NEFT and RTGS. This is also correct. So apart from retail payments like UPI and other QR based payments or wallet based payments, they also take into account the bulk payments through RTGS and NEFT. So this statement is also correct. So 1 and 3 are correct. So C is the correct answer for question number 71. Now moving to question number 72, consider the following statements. In India, algo trading or algorithmic trading, this is algorithmic trading, basically computer generated trading in stock markets, required all orders generated by algorithms to be routed through exchange approved systems to prevent market manipulation. This is correct, this is SEBI mandated. Algo trading currently accounts for more than 50% of total trading volumes in India. So 1 is only correct, not less than 10%. 73. As currency in circulation increases, banking liquidity decreases. What is M1? M1 is currency in circulation plus bank deposits. So if M1 has to remain constant, if this increases, this would go down. People would start using more cash rather than depositing those cash in the bank accounts. So that is why banking deposits reduces or liquidity reduces. So if deposits reduce, the banking liquidity would automatically reduce. So this statement becomes incorrect. So obviously D is the correct answer, but we'll see the second statement. Increase in CIC reduces demand deposit of banking system. That is what it is showing that. This is correct. So this is bank deposit, this is bank demand deposits. M1, M2 has the time deposit part. So M1, if M1 remains same and currency in circulation increases, obviously the banking liquidity would go down. So D is the correct answer for question number 73. 74th question. Infrastructure Investment Trust, InvITs. It's like REITs only. REITs and InvITs are kind of alternate investment funds, like REITs, not REITs only. These are investment vehicles that pool money for investors to invest in revenue generating infrastructure assets like road, etc., which generates toll and all these things. InvITs are required by SEBI regulations to distribute at least 90% of their income to unit holders by way of dividend, income, rents, etc. So they need to distribute 90%. So the commission for all those agencies or those asset companies which manages InvITs is only 10%. Okay. That is a SEBI mandated thing. InvITs are exempt from tax on interest, dividend, rental income. No, that is not the case. InvITs are required to pay all those taxes on this as per the slabs for the receiver of income and all these dividends. So 1 and 2 are only correct. A is the correct answer for question number 74. 75th. With reference to the electronics component manufacturing scheme recently introduced, consider the following statements. The scheme offers both turnover or revenue linked as well as capital linked incentives for development of electronics ecosystem in India. This is correct. Either the incentives would be what is the total sales or incremental sales like PLI scheme, or it could be what is the capital invested. So the incentives would be provided in both the categories whatsoever is suited. Okay. Greenfield as well as brownfield, that is existing investments for the target segments that shall be eligible under the scheme. Okay, both of them are correct. It is not that only new investments have to be pulled in, even the existing companies, they want to ramp up their capacity, that is brownfield investments, that is also incorporated as part of ECMS scheme. Okay. So this statement is also correct, both the statements are correct, C is the correct answer. Question number 76 says the harbor, safe harbor. So safe harbor is generally related to social media platforms. What happens that in social media, since Facebook, suppose say Facebook is the particular intermediary, and if third party posts something which is against say the constitutional limitations which are there, then Facebook will not be liable for the posting which is done by any third party, and that limited liability which is given to Facebook is known as safe harbor clause, which is extended to social media intermediaries. But that is not only limited to social media intermediary, that is also related to taxation on MNCs. MNCs, when they have different subsidiaries which are there and they have businesses with their subsidiaries, then there is an issue of transfer pricing. What is the pricing at which these transfers are made between MNC the parent company and the subsidiaries, because the profits are dependent on the pricing itself. If less prices are quoted than market price, then profits would be more, and that would mean more corporate tax. And if more prices are quoted than the fair price, then obviously the cost is more, the profits would go down, that would mean less profits, and less profit means less corporate tax. So these safe harbor rules are also applied to taxation on MNCs also. 1 and 2 are only correct, A is the correct answer. 77th, with reference to the recently notified Payment Regulatory Board recently constituted by the Reserve Bank of India, the board shall be headed by the Governor of RBI, not Deputy Governor. First is incorrect. It will be a 6-member body, just like the Monetary Policy Committee, 3 coming from RBI and 3 from the Government of India nominees. Just like this is correct. The meeting should be held at least twice a year. So third is also incorrect. Only one statement is correct. A is the correct answer. That is, second statement is correct. How many of them are correct? Only A. Only one. A is the correct answer for question number 77. 78. Open market sales scheme. This is by Food Corporation of India. So the purpose of OMSS is to moderate the prices of food grains in open market. Technically, that happens where there is local stock out like situation where there is more demand of grains than supply. The local prices go up. So in that case, FCI from its own stocks release through auctioning itself. So the prices, the bulk purchasers, the bulk wholesalers, they purchase grains from FCI through auctioning. It is administered by Ministry of Consumer Affairs, Food and Public Distribution. This is correct, because that is all related to public distribution itself. This is correct. Weekly auctions are conducted by FCI. This is correct. And state governments are also allowed. Earlier, that was a notification was given in 2023 where state governments were not allowed to participate in the auctions. But now this notification has been withdrawn. Now state governments are also allowed to participate in these OMSS auction. Seventy-ninth question says, consider the following statements about the expansionary monetary policy, basically loose monetary policy or lower interest, lower repo rate. Now connect with that. It can result in increase in bond prices. Why? Because if interest rate goes down, what happens that people start, more money moves to bond. More money chases bond, because at that point of time yields are more attractive than interest rates which are set by the government, which are set by the Reserve Bank of India. So in that case, what happens that bond becomes attractive, and if that becomes attractive, the demand of bond increases, and in any case if the demand of any commodity increase, the price increases, not decrease. So that is why this becomes incorrect. It can boost employment in the economy. This is correct. Why? Because if there is low interest rate, so the cost of capital would go down. Cost of capital, borrowing or capital, you can say anything. Cost of borrowing or capital reduces. So in that case, what happens? It is easier to take loans at a cheaper rate. So the profitability expectation increases for the firms, and that could lead to more capital expansion and more job creation. So 2 is the correct answer. B is the correct answer. 2 only. Last question which was asked from the economy section was Multilateral Investment Guarantee Agency, that is a part of World Bank Group. World Bank Group has 5 agencies. One is International Bank of Reconstruction and Development, then International Development Association, together they are known as World Bank, then International Financial Corporation, then Multilateral Investment Guarantee Agency, and 5th is ICSID for any dispute settlement. So MIGA is one of the institutions of the World Bank Group. This is correct, one of the 5 institutions. It encourages cross-border investment primarily in developing countries. This is correct. It provides guarantee to investors against non-commercial risks such as war and currency restrictions. This is also correct. 1, 2 and 3 all are correct. D is the correct answer. So the first question from the current affair appeared as question number 36. So it said that with reference to the financial fraud risk indicator, consider the following statements. It has been developed by the Digital Intelligence Unit under the Department of Telecommunications. This is correct. It classifies mobile numbers into risk categories based on inputs from platforms such as Chakshu, the National Cybercrime Reporting Portal. This is also correct. The Reserve Bank of India under Section 35A of the Banking Regulation Act has issued a binding directive No, there is no such binding directive. That is not mandatory for the scheduled commercial bank. So, this statement is incorrect. First two statements are correct. How many of them are correct? Only 2. Next question, question number 37. Question number 37 says, with reference to the recently launched Phenom India National Biobank, obviously genetic diversity, they want to just keep a book of this as a reserve. Consider the following statements. It will build a high resolution genomic and phenotypic database, obviously genotype and phenotype, the genetic database as well as phenotype, the features, the facial features or you can say the features, all those things which are there, that is considered to be part of phenotypic, like height, weight, length or appearance, the bone and all these things are known as phenotypic features. Database of at least 10,000 Indian volunteers, this is correct. The project is modeled on the UK Biobank, this is obvious, correct. Under the Biological Diversity Act 2000, BD Act 2002, the biobank is required to store all collected data samples locally. This is the thing. It has to be stored within the territories of India, not abroad. Obviously, they want to make it sure that this is locally stored. The data generated are expected to power AI-based risk prediction models for non-communicable disease. Basically, they want to model the NCDs, which is becoming the main source of all the disease burden. As per the Lancet report also, the global burden of disease report, it says that non-communicable disease is becoming a major chunk. And so 1, 2, 4 are correct. Third statement is incorrect. So B is the correct answer for question number 37. Question 38 says, with reference to Talash initiative, which of the following statement are correct? It is implemented by National Education Society for Tribal Students, or NESTS. This is correct. In partnership with UNICEF, the Children's Fund of the United Nations. It offers psychometric assessment model on NCERT Tamanna. This is also correct. It provides an e-learning platform to train EMRS teachers in guidance and counseling. This is correct. Its financial outlay is met by statutory grant made under Article 275A of Constitution. That is not the condition. The grants are not made statutory. There is no provisions as such. So 1, 2, 3 statements are correct. C is the correct answer for question number 38. Question 39 says, following statements regarding the Kodungalur Bharani festival. So it is an annual festival at Sri Kurumba Bhagavati temple, obviously, but that temple is in Thrissur, in Kerala, not Tamil Nadu, Karnataka. The temple is dedicated to goddess Bhadrakali. This is correct. The festival takes place during Malayalam month of Meenam. This is correct, April. So 2 and 3 statements are correct. B is the correct answer. Question number 39. Question number 40th, about the India's long range anti-ship missile LRASHM. It has been developed by DRDO. Obviously, any ship related, any missile related technology, you can go and say that this is an intelligent guess about DRDO. It is a subsonic. No, subsonic means less than 1 Mach, but it is hypersonic. This LRASHM is a hypersonic missile with greater than 5 Mach speed, 5 times the speed of sound in air. So this statement is incorrect. LRASHM is capable of being launched from both land and sea platforms. This is correct. It uses hypersonic glide technology. Obviously, that is why this is a hypersonic missile. So you could have eliminated statement 2 also. So 1, 3, 4 are correct. B is the correct answer. 91st question. This tiger reserve acts as a bridge between Eastern Ghat and Western Ghat. You need to be careful about this thing, that okay, this is an important tiger reserve which is being discussed here. So it is mainly inhabited by the Soliga tribe. Basically, we are talking about the Biligiri Ranganatha Swami temple tiger reserve. C is the correct answer for question number 91. Question number 92. The Dada Saheb Phalke Award, obviously that is related to film award. The Lifetime Achievement Award in National Film Award is known as Dada Saheb Phalke Award. Is the highest honor in Indian cinema presented as a part of National Film Awards. This is correct. National Film Awards are a comprehensive set of awards presented annually by the Government of India to honor excellence in various aspects of Indian cinema. This is also correct. National Film Awards best actor, best director, and that is, the award is given across Indian cinema, be it any language. Okay, so that becomes an honor in itself, that the one who is honored with National Film Award is considered to be a prestigious person in that particular category. But both the statements are correct. First statement is talking about Dada Saheb Phalke Award, second statement is talking about National Film Awards. Although you could say that A could be the correct answer, but here there is no linkages which is being connected between A statement 1 and statement 2. So ideally B is the correct answer. Both the statements are correct, but there is no explanation which is being given by the statement 2 about statement A. The pig butchering, this is a term which is related to, you can say this is related to luring people into cyber crime activities. Basically those uneducated, educated but unemployed, those who are vulnerable. There are many cyber organized gang, they try to lure people into these organized activities of cyber criminal activities. You must have seen one of the series Jamtara. So that is all about pig butchering, about what those unemployed people, they go into fishing, quishing. Have you heard this? Quishing, QR scanners are, please, I want, you have won a lottery, so we will send you QR scanner, you need to scan this and your money would be credited in your account. But that is all about, you are paying, you are just giving the access to make sure that any amount can be debited from your bank account. So that is all about pig butchering. All those unemployed people, they are lured into these cybercrime activities. That is pig butchering. 93. 94, small satellite launch vehicle. Okay, it says that it is a 3-stage launch vehicle. This is correct. There are 3 stage, lower, mid and upper stage vehicle, which is 3 stage, which is solid propulsion. This is correct. It can carry multiple small satellites in a single mission. That is also correct. Both the statements are correct. C is the correct answer for question number 94. 95th question is Tribal Village Vision 2030 Declaration. It was by Ministry of Tribal Affairs. Ministry of Tribal Affairs, not Ministry of Development of Northeast Region. Donor, that is not related with this particular initiative. It is Ministry of Tribal Affairs. Now under this 1 lakh tribal village will establish an Adi Seva Kendra, a single window citizen service just like customer service point, CSPs, or common service center, CSCs, for voluntary service and connectivity. Both this statement is incorrect, but this is correct. So B is the correct answer for this particular question. 95th, B is the correct answer. 96th question about National Red List Assessment. So NRLA aims to scientifically assess the extinction risk of 11,000 species using IUCN global standards. This is correct. The Zoological Survey of India and Botanical Survey of India are the nodal agency. Obviously, we are talking about flora and fauna. It is GSZSI and BSI. You could have taken an intelligent guess. This is also correct. The NRLA is funded by only public, no private funding, only this, but not international private sources. So this statement becomes incorrect. 1 and 2 are only correct. A is the correct answer for question number 96. Question number 97 is about national policy on geothermal energy, so which was recently unveiled. So NPG 2025 provides fiscal incentives on geothermal equipment and eligibility for renewable purchase obligation. So basically it is mandatory for the distribution companies to purchase whatsoever renewable energy generated through geothermal sources. That is a purchase obligation which is signed by the contractor as well as the DISCOM companies. Under the policy, geothermal resource exploration lease would be given for 3 to 5 years only. And any exploration, since it is explored in a particular state, land is used, it has to come from the state government, not from the central government. So that is why this is incorrect. Only operational, generation and leasing and generational things, it could be central government, and that is why under this also, exploration part, it is given by the state government, and that is only valid for 3 to 5 years. But for generation, it is up to 30 years, and that is given by the central government. But in this particular statement, it is talking about exploration lease. So this becomes incorrect. So only first statement is correct. A is the correct answer for question number 97. Question number 98. With reference to the Rashtriya Vigyan Puraskar, So there are 4 categories. We will be talking about this. Consider the following statements. The Puraskar is India's highest national recognition for outstanding contribution in science, technology and innovation. This is correct. It is awarded in 4 categories. This is correct. Vigyan Ratna first, second is Shri, third is Yuva. This is basically Shanti Swarup Bhatnagar award. Shanti Swarup, earlier it used to be awarded as Shanti Swarup Bhatnagar, but this has been subsumed as a part of Vigyan Yuva, and fourth is team. Vigyan team, for a team award. So that is the 4 categories. This is correct. The award covers a broad range of 13 domains. This is also correct. All the 3 statements are correct. C is the correct answer for question number 98. Question number 99 says, with reference to the following, which of the following are Ramsar sites which are located in Bihar? All are located in Bihar and all are tagged as Ramsar sites. So D is the correct answer for question number 99. 100th question. So it is related to Commonwealth Games. Obviously Ahmedabad has backed the centenary 100 years of Commonwealth Games. So Ahmedabad would be hosting the 2030 Commonwealth Games. So that is why this question has been put up. The first Commonwealth Games were held in Hamilton, Canada, 1930. This is correct. So Ahmedabad would be inaugurating the 100th years of Commonwealth Games. India has hosted the Commonwealth Games only once, obviously in Delhi, 2010, Delhi. So this is also correct. The Commonwealth Games are held every 4 years up to this point. This is correct. And involve only countries that were formerly part of British Empire. This was the initial part. But since 2009, Rwanda became, they started sending their contingent in Commonwealth Games. So that is a non-Commonwealth nation. So Commonwealth nation basically means which were once a part of British Empire, but Rwanda never was under British Empire, but still they participate in Commonwealth Games. So this statement becomes incorrect. 1 and 2 are correct. B is the correct answer. So that constitutes all the questions which were asked from the common current affairs sections. So this was all about the development which took place from January till October. So this is how we will be putting up questions from different awards, terms, any development. So these things would come up in subsequent tests also. So thank you from my side.
Hello students, this is your discussion of history section of AIPMT 2 and we are going to discuss question number 11 to 15 and then 61 to 70. Okay? So starting with the question number 11, which is around the dynasty of Pandya. We know that there are majorly 3 and 4 dynasties that were surviving in the around South India, and major of them are Chola, Pallava, Pandya and Chera, right? So these are the 4 kingdoms and they are located all around the South Indian states. So statement 1 is around that location question only. So it is asking that after the dynasty Pandya you can say that after the downfall of the Satvahana dynasty, there was this Roj of Pandya. So they are saying that Pandya kingdom has served as one of the feudatories of Satvahana kingdom, which was not true. Even if you see the map, the location of the Pandya kingdom, which is northern of Tamil Nadu, which can't be the similar region where Satvahana was ruling at the time, because Satvahana was ruling in the Deccan region, which is not co-terminus with the southern region where Pandya dynasty was ruling. In fact, in the same area where Satvahana used to rule, there came this another dynasty, which is Pallava dynasty, which was one of the feudatories of Satvahana dynasty. So this statement 1 is wrong in that regard. So first is wrong. Second is stating that the Pandya chieftain ruled from the capital city of Madurai and the port city of Korkai. These 2 cities are very important for the administration and the economic hub of Pandya kingdom, right? So this statement second becomes correct in nature, and the last statement, which is saying that the pearl about the thing that the Pandya dynasty were running around this pearl trade or pearl fisheries in their kingdom. So this particular statement becomes correct because this port of Korkai is particularly known for this pearl trade during the Pandya kingdom, and also one very major source, which is Megasthenes, has mentioned about this pearl trade about the Pandya kingdom as well. So second and third statement here becomes correct in nature. So your answer will be B. Okay? Next question is around Rig Veda. we know that there are 4 Vedas that we read in our history of ancient India. So, which serves as the, you can say, source of the Vedic civilization, which are Rig Veda, then Yajur Veda, then Sham Veda, and then Atharva Veda, right? So, all the 4 Vedas have mentioned different things around to their composition, you can say, like Rig Veda and Shama Veda are basically about the hymns that were dedicated to the gods during the period, and the Yajur Veda is about the rules of sacrifice, right? And the Atharva Veda is particularly referred to the rituals and charms and spells to warn off the evils. Okay? So the last statement of this question becomes incorrect in the sense, even if you know the particular composition of the different Veda during the period, and there are obviously 4 sub parts of the Veda that you also need to know, like Samhita, Brahmana, and then like Arnika was there. So there are 4 kinds of part of these 4 Vedas also. So you also need to remember that Upanishad, Arnika, Brahmana, right? So these are and Samhita. So you need to know the kind of subdivision of this Veda also. So if whenever you read such kind of question, okay? So this is the another thing that you can take from this question. So third becomes incorrect, but if you see the first and second statement, that it is saying that Rig Veda was the first Veda, earliest Veda, which is true, okay? And after then all the 4 Vedas came, and especially this Atharva Veda was composed in the later Vedic period, and all the 3 Vedas that are mentioned above, that Atharva Veda, have been composed during the early Vedic period. And when you say that all the these things were earlier, you can say, were oral in nature, so they passed on to generation, and where they were literally composed in very later period of the period. They were not composed during the Vedic period, they were kind of passed on generation to generation, oral passing, okay? So this is one thing that you can take. And obviously when they got composed, they were primarily composed in the language of Sanskrit, though many you can say vernacular languages were also used in such kind of languages. There was some references that you can see, but majorly it was all composed in the language Sanskrit, okay? So that you can take, and it is Rig Veda is obviously divided into 1028 hymns and into 10 mandalas, okay? So first statement becomes correct. Second is also correct because उपवेदा जो कि ऋग वेदा का है, which is Ayurveda, ठीक है? तो second statement also here becomes correct in that sense. So first and second is correct, third is not. So A will be the answer, ठीक है? Next question around this Sufi sects, because Sufism is also Bhakti sect, and Sufi sect are, and Bhakti movement and Sufi movement are especially very important for your examination. These are the very you can say must read for your prelims part and mains part also for the history section, okay? So we are going to discuss the this kind of statement that become very important for your understanding of the sects that developed during the period, the Sufi sect that developed during the period. If you see the first statement, that which of the following Sufi sects has the question is asking that which of the following Sufi sects, all the kind of Sufi sects have been mentioned here. If you know that they came to arrive in India around 11th-12th century, around the time when Delhi Sultanate came into our Indian subcontinent or got established into our Indian subcontinent, you can say. During that time only the rise of Islam was there, and the coming of this non-orthodox sect was also during the period, like Sufi sect, and also in around the same time Bhakti movement was also emerging at the same region or the place or the time, okay? So that you can get to know whenever you read about the cultural history of your ancient India, okay? So or medieval India, you can say. So they came during the 11th and 12th century around, and they were basically divided into various silsilas or sects. So these are the 4 silsilas that have been given as an option here, that you can also understand. There were Chishti, then Qadri, then Naqshbandi were there, then Suhrawadi were there. So there were many sects that emerged in the period, and the major and the first and the, you can say, the founder of the Sufi sect in India was the Chishti sect, okay? So this sect was one of the first sect that established in the India. It was very non-orthodox in nature, okay? And very aloof from the state part also, you can say. They were not believer of straight patronage. So this kind of you can say features that make them apart from the other you can sects that emerged during the period. So coming back to the question is asking which of the following Sufi sect advocated Bahadat ul Suhud, which is apparent unity over Bahadat ul Wujud, which is unity of being. Okay? So this particular thing was advocated by Naqshbandi Silsila. So answer here will be A. This was one of the sect which was orthodox in nature, unlike Chishti sect that we have talked earlier. Okay? And though Sufi sect like Chishti sect was not following you can say the Sharia during the period, but the Naqshbandi was kind of very orthodox in nature, and they were making the rules according in their particular sect that they were trying to make during the period. They were following the Sharia thing, and the major rule you can say the founder, or you can say the major advocate of this particular Naqshbandi order was this Sahmat Sarhindi, that you will remember. Okay? So this name you can remember for the Naqshbandi order. This is the additional information that I am giving you from this question. Okay? So answer here will be A. Next question is around Nayankara system, which if you have wrote or heard about the Ikta system during the medieval period, during the Delhi Sultanate period. So this is one of the takeaway from there only. So these are the various kind of land grant system that emerged in the ancient India. Then it continued during the medieval India for the expansion of the land that was given under any ruler. Okay? Apart from that, this kind of system also used to provide revenue to the state, the military system to the state, because generally the state that emerged in the ancient and medieval India, they were not very much capable of you can say holding or administrating the larger part of the country that they had occupied during the period. So what they used to do, they used to parcel out all the land that was given during the period. Okay? So this was one of the feature of this kind of land grant system that emerged during the period. It emerged from the time of post-Maurya, you can say, then during the Gupta period, then it continued in the medieval India during the Delhi Sultanate period, and also in the Vijayanagar kingdom. So this particular Nayankara system is one of the feature of the Vijayanagar system, which led the Vijayanagar system, the administration system of the Vijayanagar system, to flourish more and more. Okay? So if you see the statement given here, the first statement, that they were village servants. Whenever I am talking about the thing that they are an administrative system that are majorly kept for the revenue purpose and the military purpose. ठीक है? तो village servant village functioning या village servant कैसे हो जाएंगे? ठीक है? So this is the first statement that you can understand and see that कि majorly the village servant का जो term विजयनगर empire में use होता है, that is Ayanagar system. ठीक है? There are many kind of village functionaries, you can say, or village posts that were created under the Ayanagar system to make the village function very properly. क्योंकि हमने village system के बारे में we have also read about the self-governance system of the Chola period, right? How they used to like function during the period on the basis of all the self-government system जो कि उनके villages में चल रहा था. So this is the another thing that you can take away from the you can say from the Vijayanagar kingdom also, that this kind of self-governance system was also running in the period of the Vijayanagar system. So this is one of the characteristic of the Vijayanagar system, Ayanagar system and Nayankara system. Okay? So Ayanagar system was majorly a kind of system in which various kind of village artisan, village functionaries were used to appointed inside the village, and all the village used to function on those kind of functionaries. Okay? Like headman, like accountant, okay? Like you can say watchman. Okay? All the posts were decided under this system, Ayanagar system. Okay? So this is first statement here becomes incorrect in that sense. And Nayankara, you can say Naikara, possessed revenue rights over the land or territory called Amaram. So the kind of land that were given to the Naikas in the Nayankara system was called as Amaram, and that were majorly you can say from that they used to collect revenue, and the revenue that they were generating from the Amaram land, because already they were kind of tax-free land, you can say, that were also given to the Ayanagar people, the functionaries that were surviving in the village. So Amaram is a kind of you can say land that were given to these kind of officials, okay, to make them run the administration on the in a good manner. Okay? So they used to hold that land called Amaram, and this is the kind of rights that they used to possess was obviously of revenue rights, and in obligation to the of getting that revenue rights, they were providing military to the state, ठीक है. So this statement here becomes correct, ठीक है. Next is that institution of Nika was studied by Portuguese traveler Friar Nunes and the Domingo Pires, which is also correct because these two travelers had kind of widely covered the administrative system of the Vijayanagara Empire. So they have mentioned about the Nayankara system that you can take from here, because many times they ask in UPSC they ask about different kind of foreign travelers and what they have mentioned, ठीक है. Like they have asked one question around Travener, that they have mentioned about the diamond mines, ठीक है. So they can ask that Portuguese traveler like Nunes and Domingo Pires, what the kind of thing that they were mentioning at the period, ठीक है. So they have mentioned about the Nayankara system, so you can easily guess if you know this thing, ठीक है. So third is also correct here, so 2 and 3 becomes correct, so B is the answer, ठीक है. Next question. Is around later Mughals, ठीक है. After the decline of or the fall of Aurangzeb, you can say there were few rulers or the successor of Aurangzeb kind of you can say continued during the period in the 18th century wala or the late you can say even late 18th century, like they continued. So Mughal system continued till the rule of 1857, ठीक है. So these are the few Mughal rulers that continued in the period of the when even East India Company or Britishers had kind of start to dominate the country. So we are going to cover these two particular Mughal rulers जो कि late तक रहे थे, and we are going to see the kind of question that this statement is asking, ठीक है. So first is around this Jahadar Shah, which was one of the successor of the Mughal empires of the Aurangzeb, you can say, and second question is around this Shah Alam, ठीक है. So question is that whether Jahadar Shah had introduced this Ijara system or not, ठीक है, to improve the financial condition of the empire. This is the correct thing, and particularly this Jahadar Shah is known as one of the, you can say, puppet ruler, you can say, during the period, because many kingmakers had emerged during the period like Farooq Siyar, ठीक है. So they had kind of made him the king, ठीक है, during the period. So they were kind of nobles of the period were majorly, you can say, more involved in the administration of the empire rather than the king himself, ठीक है. So these are the kind of also regions that led to the decline of Mughal empire, because the decentralization kind of thing happened in the period, and the Mansabdari system, the Jagirdari system that were usually very strong during the period of Akbar and the Aurangzeb got diminished during the period, and the kind of system, Ijara system kind of system started to come up, and even the kingdom that you see, like regional kingdom that emerged during the period like Awadh, Bengal, Hyderabad, they were also adopting this Ijara system for themselves only, ठीक है. So this is the another take that you can take from this question, ठीक है. First statement here becomes correct. And second is that the Shah Alam's reign saw the battle of Palasi and battle of Buxar both, ठीक है, which is not correct, because battle of Buxar obviously was fought, both the battle of Buxar and Palasi was fought against the British Empire or East India Company during the period, you can say. But in the battle of Palasi, majorly the ruler Mughal Empire was, you can say, Alamgir, ठीक है. So this becomes incorrect in nature. And second, that in battle of Buxar, Shah Alam was there. Apart from that, Suja Uddaulah was there, who was the Nawab of Lucknow during the period, and Mir Qasim, who was the Nawab of Bengal during the period. All three kind of colluded to against the EIC. So this is correct, but this is not correct, ठीक है. So statement 2 is not correct, so A only first is the answer, ठीक है. Next question is around the term Jile-Ilahi. Who has used this term? Whenever you read about the theory of kinship, ठीक है, you have one person and whenever you read about this theory of kinship around the you can say Delhi Sultanate wala period, because all the example that I have given around is around the Delhi Sultanate wala period only. So understand the theory of kinship is generally related to one person, that is Balban, ठीक है, Ghiyasuddin Balban, that you can say. And this kind of theory of divine order of the kingship, the kind of you can say whenever a king is considered so high in the nature that he is almost like said that he is a shadow of God, ठीक है. So this kind of a statement are generally used for many powerful rulers all around the history. Whenever we read even during the Kushana period, they used to call themselves Devaputra, ठीक है. So these are the things that kings have used in the various periods of the time, like even in the Vijayanagar kingdom, that they used to say themselves as one of the incarnation of the god. So these are the kind of things that they used to the kings used to use during the period for their legitimization, that they are chosen from the god himself. Okay? So these are the divine theory of kingship that many rulers have used across the history. Okay? So statement, so option here will be the Balban will be the true answer. Okay? This is very easy if you know this particular term. Okay? Okay, next question is around the different kind of universities that emerged during the period. Like you have to correctly match that what kind of studies were going around the period and who has kind of patronized them. Okay? So first is Nalanda, which is patronized by Kumaragupta, is correct, and it has one of the major sites for Mahayana Buddhists, is also correct. Okay? Second is around this Vallabhi. Whenever you read about the Vallabhi, and it is not related to Gujarat region. Okay? Gujarat region mein it was majorly patronized by the Maitrika ruler, okay? Not by the Satvahana ruler. Okay? So this particular you can say option becomes incorrect only here. Okay? It was a site for Hinayana Buddhism, which is correct, but this is not correct, so option 2 becomes incorrect. Vikramshila University is majorly related to Dharmapala or Pala dynasty is correct, but the statement given here is around the Theravada sect is not correct, because it was also related to the Vajrayana sect, similar to the Jagadalla University. Okay? And both were had teaching around the Tantric Buddhism during the period. Okay? So this also becomes incorrect, and Jagadalla University, which is located in the Bengal region, okay, is or you can say this is had particularly shifted to the Bangladesh region for now. So this has been patronized by the Ramapala of the Pala dynasty, and it is one of the very major sect for the Vajrayana sect. Okay? So the statement, so option 2 and option 1 and 4 here becomes correct. So A will be the answer here. Okay? Next question around the classical language status, which majorly earlier there were few languages that were given the classical language status in the you can say constitution, but recently there are few additions in the this list of the classical language. So we are going to see the new additions and the historical development that has happened around these few languages and whether these statements are true or not. Okay? So first language that we are going to see here, because these are the new additions to the classical language that you also need to remember, that they can only ask this question that which of the language has been added new to the you can say classical language list of the constitution. Like first is this Pali, then Prakrit, then Assamese and Bengali. So the question here is around these 4 languages only. So if you read the first statement, that Gatha Saspati has been compiled by Satvahana king Hala, which is a true thing. Okay? Which is the early evidence of the early Maratha poetry. This is correct. The Gatha Satvati has been written by the Satvahana king Hala, who was the 17th king during the Satvahana dynasty. So this is another you can say the literary contribution that a king has also done during the Satvahana period. So this is one of the unique thing that you can take from this statement. So first statement here becomes the Sahi correct. Next is that entire corpus of the Buddhist canonical literature is written in Prakrit, जिसकी हम त्रिपिटक की बात कर रहे हैं. That we know that there are 3 Tripitaka, which is Sutta Pitaka, then there is this Vinaya Pitaka, then is this Abhidhamma Pitaka. ठीक है? So majorly all the 3 Pitaka had mentioned about the teachings of Buddhism, but this is Abhidhamma Pitaka is basically about the philosophical teaching of the Buddha, and the Sutta Pitaka is majorly about the you can say the original teachings of the Buddha. Okay? And Vinaya Pitaka majorly refer to the discipline that the monks and nuns used to follow in the Sangha, जो Buddhist Sangha establish किया गया था. ठीक है? So these are the 3 things that are mentioned in the different kind of Pitaka during the period. But you see, it has not been written in the Prakrit language. It was written in the Pali. ठीक है? Pali is the language that this Buddha also used to give his sermon in the Pali language, and the followers of him has composed the 3 Pitakas into the language of Pali. So Prakrit is not a correct answer here, so second becomes incorrect. The earliest example of the pre-modern Assamese script is found in the Chayapada is correct. Also pre-modern Bengali language is also found in this particular book Charapada, ठीक है? So that you can also additional information that you can take, ठीक है? So 1 and 3 here is correct. So C is the answer, ठीक है? Next question is around the decentralization in colonial India. The kind of local self-government that emerged in the colonial India, you can say. We hear about the local self-government in the ancient period, then we talk about the local government that exists during now, in the current period, in the contemporary India, okay? But this is around the colonial India, that how the system of local government developed in that part of the history that we are going to talk, okay? So first is around this, though Lord Mayo is known as the father of self-government, ठीक है, or local government, ठीक है, during the period of colonial India, he was a pioneer in that thing. But this particular statement that village panchayat should be given adequate source of income is not correct, because this was granted by Royal Commission of Decentralization, ठीक है, and not by the Mayo, Lord Mayo, ठीक है, because it was very initial phase of the local self governance that he was in that during that period of time. He was residing that period of time, so he was not very much, you can say, person that who can directly come to the village area. He was talking about the local self-government during the period, but he was talking about the municipal taxes during the period. Village के पास वो नहीं आए थे, ठीक है? So these are the few things that happened later on, and it was granted by Royal Commission of Decentralization. So first statement here becomes incorrect. Local self-government was made transfer subject under the Government of India Act 1919. That provincial government got the access for this sources to develop the local self-government during the period, was one of the take that was taken away during the period of you can say during the Government of India Act 1990. So second statement here becomes correct, and the Simon Commission suggested the increasing provincial control over the local you can say bodies for the sake of efficiency is also correct, because third is because they have seen that the kind of retrograde thing that were happening in the village during the period, and they were not getting adequate things, so they have kind of tried to gain back the kind of autonomy that a village was getting during the period. So this is one of the retrograde a step that was taken by the Simon Commission during the period. So first and so second and third statement here becomes correct. So C is the answer here, ठीक है? Okay, next question is around the Indian Independence Act, ठीक है? Two statements have been given here, and basic question, if you know the date, you know the answer, ठीक है? That they are telling, this question is asking that British Parliament had passed the Indian Independence Act based on the Mountbatten Act on the July 1847, ठीक है? The Indian Independence Act got its assent on this date, but it got passed on 5th July, ठीक है? Same year 1947, ठीक है? And finally the act was you can say approved by the you can say and got implemented in the date 15th August 97, ठीक है? सब जानते हैं इस चीज को, 1947 इंडिपेंडेंस मिला इस दिन, ठीक है? So you can remember this thing. And second thing is that act provided for the creation of 2 central legislative assembly, and the Council of State is not correct because both of this was kind of abolished, ठीक है? Not created. Creation किसका हुआ था? 2 constituent assembly का, Governor General के साथ, so that they can make assembly for so that they can make a constitution for their own separate state during the period, ठीक है? Separate nation during the period. So these 2 were abolished and new constituent assembly were formed, ठीक है? So second is not correct, first is also not correct, so D will be the answer here, ठीक है? Okay, next question is around this certain region based question. पहला देखो, home rule movement demanded the self-governance for all of India, you can say within the British Commonwealth, ठीक है? Which is a correct statement. Majorly it was a reaction for the World War that was happening during the period, and the condition that had appeared during the period. So this was one of the, you can say, reaction to the First World War condition, and they were basically demanding this self-government during the period, that India should govern themselves. So this is the statement that you can say is correct in nature. Also the second statement that moderates were disenfranchised by the Morley Minto reform is also correct, because they were kind of demanding the self-government through this particular reform, but it could not give them that. So this became one of the reason that Home Rule League started during the period. So second statement is correctly justifying the one. So answer will be A here. So that both the statement 1 and 2 is correct, and 2 is correctly justifying the question number 1. 67 number. The kind of peasant revolts that started during the period, you can say. So first is that Pabna uprising, which is Bengal Tenancy Act, is correct. Okay? That it is one of the consequence of the revolt that led to the passing of the Bengal Tenancy Act of 1885. Second is this Deccan uprising, which is led to the Agricultural Relief Act of 1879, is also correct. The Pagalpanthi movement is not related to Punjab Alienation movement. This was in Bengal region that happened. Okay? So you automatically, if you know the region that this particular revolt happened, you can easily guess the answer. The third is not the answer. So first and 1 and 2 is correct. So only 2 will be the answer here. Okay? Okay, next question is around this kind of you can say organization that were you can say were establishing abroad India, apart from the India that were establishing in all part of the world. Okay? So if you see that a statement that it is asking that which of the following is established by Dadabhai Naoroji in London, okay, in 1866 to discuss the Indian question and influence public men in the England to promote Indian welfare. Okay? This particular thing was taken or was established by East India Association. Okay? The answer C will be the option here. India House is particularly also established in the London. This is particularly by Ras Behari Bose. Okay? And this is by Syamji Krishna Varman. Okay? Krishna Varman. And this is by Ras Behari Bose in the Southeast Asia. Okay? So this is not even the region, you can say, and this was by Krishna Menon. Okay? So all the 3 you can understand why all the other options are wrong, and C is the correct option here. Okay? Next question is around the Battle of Plassey. Okay? Those statement hai isme, they are asking that whether this battle led to the establishment of the military supremacy in the Bengal of the East India Company, which is a correct statement. Okay? Because it asked the French during the period, and it asked the Nawab of Bengal during the period. So both the major ruler were asked from the period, and first become the correct option here. Robert Clive introduced the dual system as the result of this battle. Is this correct or not? No, because it was established after the Battle of Buxar, okay, which led to the Treaty of Allahabad, and finally this dual system or Diwani system got established during the period, and it led to the establishment of dual system of government. So second here becomes incorrect, first is correct. So A is the answer here. Okay? Okay, next question around this, the last question of your history section is around the national song Vande Bhatram, Vande Matram. Okay? Sorry. So this is the thing in this month only, on 7th November 2025, okay, 150th anniversary of composition of this national song has been celebrated. Okay? So this 4 statement has been asked in that regard. If you go one by one and see that it was adopted in national song by the Constituent Assembly in the 1950, it's correct. It was initially composed in the Bankim Chandra Chatterjee Anand Math. It's not correct because it was initially composed very independently, okay? And later it was composed by composed in the writing of the Bankim Chandra Chatterjee Anand Math. Okay? So statement here B becomes incorrect in that sense. So question is also asking which one of the following is incorrect. So you can easily guess if you know the basic fact about our national anthem, okay? Which is national song, which is Vande Matram. Okay? So you can easily guess the answer that this is correct and this is incorrect, and it was sung by Rabindranath Tagore at Congress session of 1896, and Vande Matram as a political slogan was first used as the national launch of the Swadeshi movement is also correct, and it was also used by Madam Ji Kama when she was flooding our flag in the Indian foreign land of Stuttgart. Okay? So this is it for the session. Thank you so much.